and answer session. To ask a question, you may press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. If you're using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset before pressing the keys. To withdraw your question, please press star, then 2. The first question is from Pete Williams from NBC News. Please go ahead.
So can you clarify for us what intelligence did the FBI gather before the assault on the Capitol about the potential for violence, and how did it share it, and did it share it to the Capitol Police?
We received a lot of intelligence, like I said in my statement, a lot of intelligence information through all different means, be it through social media or through CHS's, sources. And then we have a sharing mechanism with JTTFs. Across the country, we have joint terrorism task forces. And in this city, in D.C., we have a very robust JTTF. And in that, we have Capitol Police, Park Police, MPD, and all the other federal law enforcement partners. We shared intelligence through the JTTF model, and we also shared it through our command post structure, and then also through other means of they have access to our information readily available because they have access to our systems. So all that information was shared with our partners, and then we went from there.
The next question is from Evan Perez from CNN. Please go ahead.
Wondering if you could tell us perhaps if you found any indication so far to indicate that there was some level of planning and coordination for these people to go into the Capitol and carry out this attack rather than just a spontaneous mob that got out of control. And then secondly, if you could, at least Senator Schumer has talked about the possibility that some people might be put on the no-fly list. Of these 170 case subject files that you've already opened, can you tell us whether you've added any of those people to a no-fly list as a result of what happened?
So we're looking at all different avenues here. So my agents and analysts and all the other FBI personnel in my office and across the country are scrubbing video. We're talking to witnesses. We're talking to individuals that we arrest, and we're gathering that picture, that intelligence, if you will, to understand what happened on the 6th, that day, in the Capitol, outside the Capitol. We talk to all law enforcement partners, and it's not just the FBI doing this, it's all of our law enforcement partners as well that are working in conjunction with Acting U.S. Attorney Mike Sherwin's office and our local office here too as well. So we're sharing that intelligence amongst each other. We're putting into the intelligence cycle that the FBI has to try to ascertain the true picture of what happened that day. As for the no-fly list, we look at all tools and techniques that we possibly can use within the FBI, and that's something that we are actively looking at.
The next question is from Catherine Herridge from CBS News. Please go ahead.
Thank you for holding this event. The 2 pipe bombs that were found at the RNC and the DNC, does this cross the threshold to domestic terrorism because they are political targets? And do you think this was designed to either pull first responders away from the scene as the Capitol was breached, or an effort to maim lawmakers as they evacuated?
So I'll try to address that question for you the best I can. So yes, those 2 pipe bombs that were found both outside the RNC and the DNC offices near the Capitol grounds. And look, to begin, they were real devices. They had explosive igniters. They had timers. We don't know, obviously, exactly why they did not go off. That's being investigated. They were destroyed, disabled by Capitol Police with the assistance of the ATF, and that is all obviously being vetted and investigated. What was the purpose of those devices being planted? Was it a diversionary type of a tactic used by some of these rioters? Was it something, or did it have some other type of nefarious purpose? So that is what the ATF, the FBI, MPD are looking at as we speak right now, and looking for those persons that planted those devices. In terms of the conduct related to planning those, pipe bombs, the mention of domestic terrorism. I've mentioned this before. I don't like this tyranny of labels saying an act is domestic terrorism. We have plenty of federal resources at our disposal, plenty of federal charges to address all of this conduct, from felony murder related to the possession and use of destructive devices to seditious conspiracy, under the federal code that has significant penalties. And as mentioned, with this strike force that was established to focus strictly on sedition charges, we're looking at and treating this just like a significant international counterterrorism or counterintelligence operation. We're looking at everything: money, travel records, looking at disposition, movement, communication records. So no resource related to the FBI or the U.S. Attorney's Office will be unchecked in terms of trying to determine exactly if there was a command and control, how it operated, and how they executed these activities.
The next question is from Pierre Thomas from ABC News. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Are you looking at the possibility that some of these suspects were attempting or planning to take members of Congress hostage?
So I want to talk about Mike's the prior question first, just because I want to emphasize that we have a $50,000 reward out for the information, any information and identification of the individual or individuals that left the pipe bomb. So I just want to make that perfectly clear, and that we're looking at all angles in that. Every tool, every rock is being unturned because we have to bring that person to justice or people to justice. So can you repeat the question, please? No. Okay.
Are you looking at the possibility that some of these suspects who breached the Capitol, who had zip ties and other things, were looking at the possibility of taking members of Congress or others hostage?
So, like I answered the last couple of questions before, we are looking at all angles here. We're interviewing everyone, interviewing witnesses, and interviewing subjects as they get arrested around the country and within the district as well, to ascertain the true purpose of some of these individuals in the Capitol that day.
The next question is from Jake Gibson from Fox News. Please go ahead.
Thank you, first of all. I have two, actually. Number one, Senator Cassidy has tweeted out a photo that he said was of an individual that authorities wanted to get in contact with in connection possibly with the killing of Capitol Police Officer Sicknick. Number one, can you give us any type of update on that situation? Number two, I know you talked about intelligence leading up to the day before or leading up to the day of the riots, but there are some specific reports out that there was at least one report out of FBI in Norfolk that painted a pretty grim picture. Can you confirm that? And were authorities on the Hill really ready for what was coming at them?
So the investigation into Officer Sicknick's passing is an ongoing investigation. We are looking at everything that we possibly can. It cuts us to a core that one of our law enforcement brethren passed away. So it's an ongoing investigation. There's a lot of tools and interviews that we're still conducting. There's a whole host of video that's out there. We're reviewing all that information. As for the information that's being presented out there right now about Norfolk, that was a thread on a message board that was not attributable, was being attributable to an individual person. Like I said in my statement, we deal in specifics and facts. That information, when my office and Washington Field office received that information, we briefed that within 40 minutes to our law enforcement partners, our federal, state, and law enforcement partners that we had on our command post. It got ingested into the JTTF system and was, again, shared with all our law enforcement partners through that process that we have. And that's the action that we took on that, and that's it.
This concludes our question and answer session, as well as the conference. Thank you for attending today's presentation. You may now disconnect.